creative friends, it's Gwen and I'm back today with another scrapbooking process video. Today's share is for Cut to You and I'm going to be using this beauty. It is the April Cut of the Month exclusive design. It is called Adventure Mode and I cannot wait to use it to scrapbook this photo of me that was taken last year, December last year, when we did the flight across the Great Barrier Reef. I've pulled out some Pink Fresh Studio Some Days collection for this one. I have not used this collection at all, and you will have noticed that this video is a bit longer than usual, and that is because I wanted to include my entire process. So normally I would have actually done all of this before I've turned my camera on. So today's a bit different. I wanted to show you how I go about it, and I think you'll find that it's sort of similar to the way that I do the rest of my creating. The very first thing that I do is take a sweep through the pattern papers, and I immediately exclude any that I know 100% I don't want to work with. So it could be because they have a color tone on them that doesn't match the feel that I'm going for. It could be that the pattern's a little bit busy to back the cut file with. It could be a number of things. And then I look at the ones that I think could possibly work. So in this case, I'm not sure whether I'm going to go with the more of the florals, that floral print, or if I'm going to go with the deeper color like this blue. So it's at this point that I do decide to go with the blue. I felt that the bolder color just looked a little bit better underneath the cut file with the backing in the cut file. And I also wanted to use this pattern paper. There wasn't actually a lot in this collection. I like to use pattern papers on my background, but there wasn't one that was not super busy. This was probably the least busy pattern of all of them. So I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to back my cut file. I've used the blue as a border like I normally do, and then I'm going to tie that border into the layout, make everything feel cohesive by reusing that same pattern paper in the cut file itself. And since I'm making a longer video today, I thought what I would do is include a lot of the footage of me backing the cut file. I do have to apologize though, because some of it is cut off, like this section here. I actually I shouted myself a new stand for my camera. So you might have seen in my craft room tour video that I did recently that I had a stand that I physically attached to the table that I'm working on. And I wanted something that could be more portable. So something I could take on retreats, something I could take in our caravan and then still be able to record videos for you. And yeah, something that would be a bit more flexible in that regard. But I'm still getting used to where I have to be working, like the position of my workspace in relation to where the camera displays. So please forgive me. I did not want to include this because you can see a lot of it and I get a lot of questions about how I go back in cut files. So I thought even with those little bits cut out, this is still valuable to those of you who want to see how I do that. So essentially what I like to do is add my liquid adhesive to the back of the cut file and then position the cut file on my pattern paper with my pattern paper facing upwards so I can see exactly what parts of the pattern are going to show in what sections of the cut file. I leave it a couple of seconds and then I use my really sharp pointed scissors to fussy cut it out. So these scissors are from EK Success and they're quite small and I just find them really, really nice to work with. I find that really sharp point at the end there really helps me to get into the details of the design really easily. And I have tried it quite a few ways. I've tried tracing out pieces and then gluing them and trying to position them that way. And I've just found this way is the easiest and the fastest for me. And I like that once it's glued down, it doesn't move. So you can sort of be a bit, not rough with it, but you don't have to worry so much about it coming away from the cut file, or yeah, trying to keep track of the position of it in relation to the cut file. It's attached, it's glued. You can just grab your fussy cutting scissors and get going around the edges there. The liquid glue that I prefer to use is the Nouveau Deluxe adhesive. That is my favorite now. I've been working with that for a while, and I sort of do it in sections. I like to work mostly from the inside out, or from the most solid part of the design first. And the reason for that is that if you do something on the outer edges of the design first, or a section of the cut file that's not really sturdy, adding the pattern paper behind it can actually make that section more weighty. And I have had times when it's sort of made it tear a little bit because of the extra weight of the pattern paper behind the cut file, and then also you're manhandling it by backing the rest of it. So hot tip, try and do what you feel would be like the most sturdy part of the cut file first, and the larger sections first, and then work your way to the smaller sections and the sections that are a little bit more delicate. And you can see that I've used a mix of that dark blue floral pattern paper, and then I've added in a little bit of that lighter bright white background pattern paper, and I'm actually going to use that same floral that's in Adventure there. I'm going to use that same floral to back my photo, and that's going to help tie that section together. So it's really just that middle part now that I need to do, which has the X's and O's on it. I've left that because I wasn't really sure. I think I want to bring in some yellow. I love scrapbooking with yellow. It's such a happy color, and this collection does have a little bit in there, so I am going to be going with that. First up though, some more fussy cutting. Fussy cutting is my cardio. I love doing this. That's why I think I love cut files so much, because it's just fussy cutting, isn't it? So I'm going to fussy cut out this floral, and it's going to become a cute little embellishment for the layout. And then I'm going to back that last piece of the rainbow in the only more solid yellow pattern paper that is in the collection. It's one that's got numbers on it, but you'll see in a moment that you can't really tell that they're numbers once I back the cut file. It just sort of looks like a bit of a yellow print, which I quite like actually, and it's probably a nice way to use up a pattern paper that I'm not sure that I would use normally. So that's a little tip for you. Give a lot of different patterns a little audition, because some of them look really nice behind cut files and they don't look the same as they would when they're on a full sheet of pattern paper. Well worth trying things. Speaking of which, oh my goodness, I was certainly feeling brave this day, wasn't I? I pulled out some Distress Oxide. This one is fossilized amber, and I am going to add a little bit of mixed media to this layout. Anyone who has been here for 5 minutes will know that I am mixed media challenged. We're not friends. I like clean mixed media, which is it's a thing I made, where I don't enjoy the splatters everywhere on the page. I like to have some control over where the mixed media goes. And so I have to figure ways to make it work for me. So for this layout, I wanted to just have a little strip that went underneath the word adventure, because when I was looking at it, it just felt busy and it wasn't standing out enough. So I knew I needed something a bit more solid behind that word there. And so, yeah, mixed media it was. And you'll see, did you notice before I held the page up, the way that I've added it here being A, not very much, and B, using the brayer there, that has allowed the paper to stay really, really flat. I'm not a fan of the big warped pages that happen with the girls who add layers and layers and layers of mixed media. I love their pages, but I cannot stand it for my pages. I like my pages to remain quite flat. So I feel like this is a winner. I feel like I'll do this again, and I feel like it really adds something to the layout. So much so that I actually did go back after the layout was complete. I did go back and add a little bit more. Can you see between the A and the D there is no yellow in that gap? I actually added with a paintbrush and just a little bit of the oxide, not very much, but just went in with a paintbrush and added a little bit more in between those letters. I think I added a little bit more underneath the A as well, and then underneath the R at the right hand side there. Just wanted to make that stand out a little bit more, wanted to make that color ever so slightly more deep, and I feel like that helped that word stand out more. So yeah, mixed media for me is an interesting one because I do love the look of it and I want to include it on my pages, but I'm very fussy about it. So it's really about finding the way that I can use those techniques in my own way. And yeah, so that's where the term clean mixed media came to be. I did do a little bit of design team work for Colour Blast. It's an Australian company that makes mixed media supplies, and I did do a little bit of work with them and did manage to sort of do my clean mixed media style. And I want to get back to that just a little bit, not a lot, but I do want to add in a little bit of that stuff on my pages. So I thought, why not? It's a longer video today. Why not include it for you all so that you can see how I go about doing that too? Okay, so back in my comfort zone I am. Everything's dry. I have glued down the cut file, so that's now locked into position. I left some of the pieces up in the rainbow just because I wasn't sure at this point if I wanted to slide some embellishments under there, but all the words adventure mode is all glued down pretty solidly. And I'm just going to play with some pretty things. I am going to use a lot of the florals in this collection, and I do find some fun elements that have like little geotags on them. So that little piece that's at the bottom right hand corner of my photo that says "This must be the place," and I felt like that really fit well. There were a few pieces in here though, I have to say, that were not negative, but things like "This is hard," yeah, not feeling today, and so yeah, I did struggle a little bit with finding the right word elements to add to this layout, but that's okay because there were lots of pretty florals, and I do have my nice big title, so it doesn't really need that much more at this point anyway, right? I was actually quite careful when I was making this cut file to make it for like boy pages and girl pages. I wanted it to be able to be used for all kinds of adventures. So you'll notice that it doesn't have any florals kind of within the design. And I'm tempted actually to recreate this page as a boy layout, like using maybe more masculine supplies, maybe getting a photo of my hubby, just so that you can see how it could be used for both. And because it is a cut of the month, I might do that. I don't know whether I'll make a video, but I will share it somewhere. We'll see about that. But you could definitely use a masculine collection or a more outdoorsy collection for this one and get a very different feel for your layout, just depending on the photo that you have to scrap and yeah, the story that you're trying to tell. And this is all coming together. I do end up with a large floral cluster top left. I end up with another cluster on the right hand side of the photo. And then to create my visual triangle, I end up with a couple of little pieces above the V there. So naturally your eye will want to go towards the left to read the words, because we read words obviously left to right. So I do want to kind of go with that flow and add a very small little floral piece in there. That one ends up being too big, and I do go with something smaller. That one's got a little orange on it, but you don't end up seeing that in the end. Just a little pop, doesn't need much. And yeah, I find that kind of rounds out that visual triangle. It leads the eye down to the title, which is what I want. And I'm really loving how all of this is coming together and how everything's looking, including my mixed media. Thank you so much for being here, my creative friends. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you like the way that I scrapbook or the way that I chat about the way that I scrapbook, I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. I will leave you with some close-up images here so you can see that mixed media, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, bye!